Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Exports continue to be vital to Virginia's farm economy. Crepe myrtles are one of the best trees suitable for Virginia's climate. And some folks love the looks and sounds of antique farm equipment.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Brent and Becky's Bulb Shop in Gloucester, Virginia. We'll talk to Brent in our next episode of Real Virginia, but first, let's take a look at trade and its importance to farmers. Burke MOELLER has more.
Here in Virginia Beach, these shipping vessels are a common sight, carrying cargo to and from the Port of Virginia, the deepest commercial port on the U.S. East Coast. And many of these vessels are containing agricultural products from Virginia to customers around the world. The Port of Virginia is helping Virginia to be the 12th largest agriculture and forestry exporter in the U.S. and the 3rd largest on the East Coast, according to Governor Ralph Northam. His remarks came at the Governor's Conference on Agricultural Trade this spring. The event was sponsored in part by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation and was held virtually this year due to the pandemic.
Our goal is aggressive. Over the next 15 years, we'll expand Virginia's international trade output by nearly 50%.
Under Northam's plan, Virginia would see an additional $18 billion a year in total export sales on top of the $36 billion in exports already on the books. Virginia farm products are a valuable part of those overseas sales. And according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the state's top international customer for farm products is currently China. Whether it's pork, soybeans, or tobacco, Beijing keeps buying Virginia agricultural products. Soybean farmer Alan TIGNOR wants to keep our relationship with China on solid ground. He says he normally plans out what he's going to grow a year in advance. Because of this, stability in foreign markets is paramount.
I know we try to have influence on foreign countries, but it's really disturbing thing when our leaders begin to badmouth some of our best customers.
TIGNOR is cautiously looking forward to the U.S. possibly reviving the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, which would have lowered many barriers to trade between the United States and most Asian countries.
Well, I would like to stay friendly with these countries that we are doing a lot of trade with, and also I would like to see us participate in some of the trade agreements that would be beneficial to us. As a grain farmer, we are very dependent on that kind of thing.
The benefits of a good trading relationship with Asia are clear.
In Asia, we anticipate and expect in the next 15 years that there will be an increase of middle-class consumers by 3.5 billion people. As economies improve, as people begin to move up the socioeconomic ladder, more and more people in Asia are going to move from being low income to middle income. 3.5 billion middle-class consumers. That's 10 times the population of the United States.
That's a lot of mouths to feed, and Virginia farmers are positioning themselves to help meet that demand.
It's remarkable to fathom the amount of people that are there and what those people can consume. There's been a lot of anecdotal sayings around agriculture over the last 30 years about getting consumers in China up to what Westerners would consider Western standards, and whether that have to do with perishable products that they consumed for how they transport themselves, or the electronics that are perishable, not even to mention the food that they would consume if they ate anywhere near the level of an American.
Robert Harper analyzes trade markets and trends for Virginia Farm Bureau members. There are several ongoing trade and political disputes that could slam the door shut to U.S. grain sales to China, as happened only a few years ago. That's why Harper says Virginia farmers should spread out their sales and not put all their hope in exports to one country.
My advice is to prepare for a lot of volatility in price, and to prepare for that by making small incremental sales over a long period of time that's above your cost of production.
Volatility is something that Virginia farmers have learned to factor into their business model. Unanticipated disruptions or black swan events like the COVID-19 pandemic or even the most recent shipping incident in the Suez Canal can create havoc in world trade markets. And those price fluctuations could hurt producers who already are having a tough time making a profit.
There's all these ripple effects. The 100+ ships that were on both sides of the canal that were waiting to pass. One thing we saw last week through exporters who I speak with who deal in ocean-going freight rates, they saw many freight rates double last week, ocean-going freight rates, because of the anxiety over how long that canal would be impassable and how that would impact all those ships.
But even in a situation such as a global pandemic, Dr. John Newton, former chief economist with the American Farm Bureau, pointed to a surge in commodity prices that is welcome news for the agriculture community. He says U.S. agricultural exports are expected to be a record $157 billion, up 16% from 2020. The U.S.'s trade balance for agricultural goods this year is expected to grow by $17 billion. He also says that if the U.S. were to rejoin the Trans-Pacific Partnership, it would boost net farm income by approximately $4 billion. From the grain fields of Caroline County to the Port of Virginia to destinations all over the world, Virginia farmers are significant players in the global economy. And with demand for their products on the rise, access to free markets will provide a reliable source of income for generations to come. In Caroline County, I'm Burke MOELLER reporting.
China is just one of many countries that purchase farm products from the Old Dominion. For many years, our top export trading partner has been Canada, followed by Switzerland and Mexico. Russia, Japan, and the United Kingdom are also important foreign buyers. Poultry and pork products are big sellers. Soybeans are a major export crop, along with crushed beans and soybean oil. Raw tobacco and cigarettes are other high-dollar export products. Hardwood timber is sought by overseas furniture makers, and Virginia cotton is shipped to foreign textile mills. Even Virginia wine's becoming popular as a specialty export product.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite plants, crepe myrtles. So stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Perhaps no other garden, tree, or shrub is better suited for Virginia than the crepe myrtle. Mark Viette explains why in the garden.
50, 60 years ago, crepe myrtles were grown everywhere. Since then, especially with the work from Don Egolf, they've hybridized some of the newer crepe myrtles to make them hardier, so they live in some of the colder climates better. But they've also hybridized them to have good fall color and good summer foliage color. In addition to that, some of the hybridizing has allowed for them to bloom for at least 110 days. Now remember, crepe myrtles love the heat. The hotter it is, the better they're going to perform. So if you have a cool, wet summer, they may not do as well for you. Now there are about 7 different classifications of crepe myrtle according to height. There are some varieties that only get 18 inches tall. They never get any bigger than that. And then they have a group that's like 2 to 3 feet tall. Then they've got a group 3 to maybe 5 feet tall. Then they got 5 to maybe 10 or 11 feet tall. Then I've got 11 to 15 feet, 15 to 25 feet, all the way up to 60 feet in height. Now, preferably for my garden and my tastes, I like crepe myrtles that aren't so big, because if the crepe myrtle is really big and tall, it's hard for you to see the flowers. And that's why one of my favorites here is Hopi. And it'll get a little bigger than this. It might get twice the height, but you can keep it short by pruning it. But Hopi is a fantastic variety for the garden. If you look behind me, you can see a variety of colors and heights of some of my favorite crepe myrtle. Probably the third one behind me is probably my top favorite between that and Hopi, and that one there is called Sioux, S-I-O-U-X. Fantastic, because you can cut it any height. You can cut it 5 feet, 7 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, even 20 feet, and it will come into beautiful flowers at any height you cut it. And then we have Wichita, and then the closer one, the beautiful big white one here, is known as Natchez. Natchez has some of the prettiest exfoliating bark that you can find on any tree. And Natchez is one of the hardier varieties for some of our colder climates. Cold climates, they sometimes have to put them in containers and bring them indoors. And I really like this one. Gets big, 35 feet, and it's known as Miami. See, you have so many crepe myrtles that you can choose from. The one thing to keep in mind is when I prune them, I don't always prune them to the same exact spot every year, because then during the winter, you get sort of that clubby appearance, just a mass of shoots. So what I do is cut them at different heights, sort of to prevent that clubbiness. Now, getting back to Sioux, I'm going to show you a couple of the heights of Sioux so you can see how you can use these in your garden. This is Sioux, which has been kept short. As I mentioned, it's a very versatile plant at different heights. And what we did is we pruned it at different levels. And so the new shoots that came out produced spuds. The same year I pruned it early in summer, and it's beautiful, and it's only about maybe 10 feet tall. The Sioux behind me is 20 years old, 25 feet tall. In fact, my dad said, we should prune it this year. You know, it's getting too big. And I'm saying, no, look how beautiful it is behind me for a 25-foot shrub. Again, one of my top 5 varieties. Plant them in the garden, and Sioux can take a little bit of bright shade, but mainly full sun, loves the heat. Through some of the breeding and genetic work that was done with crepe myrtles, they found they could improve powdery mildew resistance and improve resistance to Japanese beetles. And that's real important, because if you look closely at the flowers, you're going to see honeybees. And we really don't want to spray our flowers while honeybees are feeding on the pollen and the nectar. Fantastic variety. This is known as Catawba. Easy to use around the home, doesn't get too big, has beautiful foliage. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Tammy BRAWLEY with The Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, a fresh spinach and strawberry salad with a strawberry vinaigrette. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. spend time with their friends, and then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Nothing says warm weather is here like fresh Virginia strawberries. Chef Tammy BRAWLEY shows us how to take a springtime salad to the next level in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Tammy BRAWLEY with The Green Kitchen, and welcome to a special outdoor edition of Heart of the Home. We're at Old Tavern Farm in New Kent, and in case you hear any rough noises in the background, they are building an elementary school across the street from us, so hopefully I can talk louder than the noise they make. Today we are focusing on spring. We have got some delicious strawberries that are in season now, not to mention some delicious organic spinach, and we're going to make a delicious salad of spinach, strawberries, goat cheese, sunflower seeds, but one of my specialties is a strawberry vinaigrette. We're going to talk about how to make that in just a moment. What we want to do is have just basically a small food processor. You don't have to have a large one. And you want to add about a cup or two of berries to the food processor. You can do a rough chop on them, but keep in mind the food processor is going to do most of the work for you. All right. And then to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Your recipe that you're going to see calls for white vinegar. I happen to have some raspberry vinegar. Really, any flavored vinegar you want, I think is great. We're going to do about 2 tablespoons of that. And anytime you make a vinaigrette, it's 2 parts vinegar to 4 parts of olive oil. So what I have is the 2 tablespoons of vinegar. And then I've got a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And one thing you would always want is a little bit of Dijon mustard, not for flavoring purposes. You're actually getting ready to emulsify this dressing. So you want the mustard there because it will help suspend the oil molecules. It's a great way to get 2 things to get married that don't want to get married. We're going to put our lid on, and we're going to process that. Now you might have noticed I hadn't added the olive oil yet. We've just got the vinegar, the mustard, and the strawberries. While your food processor is running, you can run it through the feed tube, which in this little one happens to be on top. It's just going to add the olive oil a little slow. Helps incorporate it that much better. Give it a chance to get down in there. And one thing that is great is when you go to pick fresh strawberries, you always pick probably more than you need. And then when you get home, you don't know what to do with all of them. You can make the strawberry vinaigrette that we're going to show you, certainly the salad that will be in season at that time. And then one thing you can do is actually put them in the freezer. This is a great way to keep them for another process in the future, such as this vinaigrette. I've used frozen strawberries many times. All right, we're just about done adding the olive oil to our vinaigrette. All right, that is pretty much finished. You can see it's a beautiful color. What we're going to do is we're going to take our fresh spinach. We have it in a bowl waiting for us. You want to add a little bit of dressing. All right, dressings for salads really should be glistening. They should not be sopping wet or swimming, so to speak. So you just want to add a little bit. You can toss it up with your hands. Oh, this is such a beautiful color. Add it to your serving bowl. And then you want to get in there with the fresh strawberries. One thing I might have forgotten to mention at the beginning is when you work with fresh strawberries after you've picked them, you don't want to wash them until right before they're getting ready to be used. You want to take the green off of the end. That can go in your compost pile. And then these nice fresh slices for the salad. It's already looking like spring, that beautiful healthy color. And then pinch off a little bit of goat cheese to go in that. If goat cheese is not your favorite, I recommend feta. I think feta is a good balance against the spinach. You might notice I still have my glove on. You might want one of those for the goat cheese. And then top it with a little bit of toasted sunflower seeds. And there you have it, a beautiful spring salad with fresh strawberries, fresh spinach, goat cheese, and sunflower seeds, and that delicious strawberry vinaigrette that's very easy to make. Thank you for joining us for Heart of the Home, and we'll see you next time.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Lettuce, spinach, and other salad greens are raised on more than 500 Virginia farms every year, plus in thousands of backyard gardens. Fresh greens are a staple at the more than 300 farmers markets scattered throughout the Old Dominion, and it's easier than ever to find local suppliers these days. Thanks to low tunnels and hoop houses, many Virginia growers have been extending their growing seasons earlier in the spring and later in the fall. Some growers are even able to raise fresh salad greens year-round, keeping their customers happy even when the snow flies.
Virginia has a number of public museums dedicated to agriculture and old farm equipment. Ricky Gibson reports some private collectors are also holding on to memories and sharing them with the next generation.
Like the rest of society, farm technology has seen enormous change in the past century. Some Virginia farmers are happy to hang on to older equipment and enjoy the memories they hold. Stanley HULA of Charles City County has more than 50 antique tractors and a separate show building. Lately, he's focused on saving smaller items from the past.
And signs really are my passion today more than tractors because of my age. am not as interested in tractors in museum, as in signs. But if I see a sign that I like, I'm going to buy it. Most everything in here is farm related in some way or another. Now, I try to collect local memorabilia rather than far away. If something comes up local, I will buy it.
HULA has been collecting farm antiques since he was 30 and got his first sign as a gift. His private collection is at Renwood Farms, a family grain operation along the James River. At age 81, he says he truly enjoys the good memories these items hold for him.
I guess the only favorite pieces that I have back here is an 830 John Deere tractor, and I can remember riding that tractor day after day after day. And I look, the thing that stands out about that tractor to me more than the other tractor that I ever rode was the sound that it had. It had the putt-putt sound, but it's a deep growling sound. I just love to hear it. And of all the pieces in here, I would say if I had a favorite, that would be the one that would stand out to me as a favorite tractor.
Memories are the reason why LILLIAN AZEVEDO also has a piece of history on her Amelia County farm. A modified Model T farm truck is her prized possession, formerly owned by her grandfather and an uncle, and painstakingly shipped across the country.
It's an orchard truck from California. It's a 1919 Model T, and then it has a brown truck attachment on the rear end. So it can haul up to 2 tons, and it was originally produced for logging, for any time you needed to haul something a little bit more heavy duty than you could with your little Model T. So it's got the original redwood bed, which was put on in 1920, and then you can see where the apple boxes were slid on and off when it was working in the orchard for the first 30 years of its life before it became out of date, and survived the scrap drive from World War II and ended up getting picked up by my grandpa back when you could pick up a Model T for $5, $10.
Azevedo says a love for old trucks runs in her family. Her husband has an original 1949 Chevrolet family truck on the farm. Normally, Chevy and Ford collectors don't mix, but they make it work because of their love of antiques. And she's planning to use the Model T soon in their new orchard. She says many times older equipment is still useful in several ways.
We've always loved gardens, but I've never lived on a farm. It's always been a dream of mine. And having the old farm truck on a farm for the first time in 3 generations is something that I could have only dreamt about. And having my grandpa's truck next to Brendan's grandpa's truck, having a Ford and a Chevy right next to each other, you know, doing the farm job is part of the dream. My daughter lives in England. She hasn't had a chance to come out to the farm, but I think when she does, and being able to use, not only see the old cars, but drive them and haul things and move things and press apples and dig in the garden with the antiques is going to be something fantastic for her, I think.
While collecting farm antiques has been a passion for more than 50 years for HULA, he also sees their value for reminding people of how far technology has come.
My grandson, who's out here working on the farm right now, he came into the office one day and our telephone had gone out, noticed when the landlines were. And we'd put a rotary phone on the desk to replace the push button phone. He looked at it, and I was there, his dad brought him in, and he said, "Dad, what is this?" We have no idea. How many people have an idea that we had a rotary phone at one time? And that's the same thing that happens with agriculture. Do we know that we started out behind a horse that grew to this and grew to the technology that we have today? If we don't look back, we don't find out about it. Obviously, many of us won't remember it because people like me, when we're gone, their memories are gone likewise.
Azevedo's farm is private, but HULA's farm equipment collection is housed in a building on the farm called A Glimpse into the Past. It's open for viewing by appointment only. He believes it's important to remember and honor the past.
All the businesses I find signs for no longer exist. If you walk around here, I can look and give you names of companies that we did business with that are no longer there. And that just really interests me, how times have changed and how businesses have come and gone.
Farmers like HULA and Azevedo count themselves lucky they can touch and feel these mementos of Virginia's rich agricultural heritage. You can too. There are similar collections, each with a different focus, in every part of the Old Dominion. Just search for Virginia Farm Museum on the internet. In Charles City County, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.